Hi, my name's Emily. I teach politics at Huddersfield New College. Today I just want to talk to you a bit about what politics is, why we study it and why it's so important in our everyday lives. So why is it so important? Well, politics is all about power. Depending on what kind of situation we're looking at depends on who has that power. So in some situations our representatives have the power. In the UK, our country is split up into 650 constituencies. These are areas and each one elects a different MP and they are members of parliament who represent us. So in those instances, they have the power, they make the everyday decisions that impact our lives. However, there are some instances where we have the power as citizens. Now, you probably won't be able to vote yet if you're not 18, but you might have been involved in signing e-petitions, being involved in protests, and maybe joining a political party. So there are different ways that we can get involved as citizens. So if you were in power, what would you do? I want you to have a look at these different ideas, decide which ones you'd be in favour of and which ones you'd vote against. So the first one is free tuition fees. Labour had this in their 2019 manifesto. Younger people tend to like it. If you are going on to university, then I'm supposing that you will be in favour of it. The second one, limiting the number of prisoners in the UK to 5,000. You might think this is a good idea, you might think it's a really bad idea, but it would definitely ensure that the most serious criminals are the ones who are in prison. Third one, banning school uniform. You're probably going to like that one. Lowering the voting age to 16. I'm assuming that you'll also like that one, but some people are strongly against it as well. We do know that age has a massive impact on how people do vote, so it would change the political landscape if that came in to place. So the people who decide these things have a huge amount of power in changing the political landscape. Capital punishment, a very serious issue obviously to consider. Should we bring it back? Should we not? Obviously it used to be legal in the UK and it's no longer the case. The next one, a knowledge test to take part in voting. Some people suggest that those who vote may be in referendums where the choice is given directly to the public. Some people suggest that they're not as educated as our representatives and so they shouldn't have the vote in that case. The next one, legalising the cloning of pets. The former First Lady of Iceland has actually cloned her dog, so you might think if you have a pet that you love, you might want to clone them. And the last one, obviously the most serious one, the price of Freddos to be capped at 5p, a really important decision, so I thought I'd leave that one to the end. Completely up to you, but I'm guessing you're in favour. So, before an election, parties put forward a manifesto. Now, the party that I'm going to show you now is one that students love. It's called the Monster Raving Loony Party, and instead of a manifesto, they put forward a manifesto. And it's basically just a list of policies that they would implement if they came into power. So, the Monster Raving Loony Party, here are some of their policies. The first one, all social media sites to be taken down for a day to remember those days that we used to talk. The next one, they'll only paint yellow lines where you can park, just to confuse everyone. Next one, not so controversial or wacky, reduce the voting age to 16. And the last one, to cut letters of the alphabet starting with N, H and S. So some of their policies really wacky. We might think, what impact do they have on politics? But they have actually implemented or influenced some policies that have been introduced in the UK. So in the 60s, it was quite controversial to suggest that people of the age of 18 should vote, but that is now in place. And that is partly due to this party putting it forward. And in the 80s, they wanted to introduce pet passports, which we now have in the UK. So they do have some influence on our policies. So what I'm going to do is show you some manifestos from 4 major parties from 2019, and I want you to have a look at them and decide which one you'd vote for. You might have an idea about which parties you are interested in or which you most prefer at the moment, but I'm not going to show you which parties they're from. So have a look at the manifestos on the screen. You'll want to pause it in a moment and have a look properly at all 4 manifestos. The party names aren't on there for a reason. I want you to really look through those policies, decide which one is your favourite and which party you'd vote for. So pause the video now and have a little look at these policies. Okay, so here are the parties that each one was. So Party 1, the Liberal Democrats, Party 2, Labour, 3, Conservatives and 4, the Green Party. Have a look at which one you voted for. Was it the party that you expected? You might have known which ones they were. You might not have. You might be quite surprised by the one that you picked. And that really emphasises the importance of looking at policies. A lot of people base their vote based on the leadership or the reputation of the party. I do think it's really important to have a look at the policies of what they are offering. Now consider whether they are actually offering us a choice. Do you think there's many similarities and differences between the different parties? Some of them you might have noticed they're quite similar in some ways. So have another look, have another pause, and have a look at the policies. Are they offering a real choice? Can you draw out anything that's similar or different about the four? Okay, so now I've highlighted some similarities that the four parties have in common. Something that really stood out for me was that they are all firstly offering to increase spending, and secondly to focus on the environment. Now much of that has come from the Green Party, so you can see how smaller parties are influencing the bigger parties. So they've all got some similarities, and those are things that the voters really want. So again, it's the voters having the power, because the parties are having to adopt things that the public are really interested in and find important. These ones are differences. So 2019 was known as the Brexit election. Each of these four parties are offering different things to do with Brexit. So the Lib Dems wanted to stop Brexit, the Conservatives wanted to push Brexit through, and they said that they had an oven-ready deal. So depending on your view on Brexit will probably have impacted how you would have voted in 2019. So they are offering different things as well. So as we've seen, the four parties all offered different policies and some similar policies as well. These kind of things will be studied in a lot more depth if you came to HNC to study politics. The questions on the board are just to give you an indication of the kind of things that we study. So we'd ask ourselves, do parties offer us a real choice? Are the major parties becoming too similar? There is a claim that Labour and Conservative are becoming more towards the centre in order to appeal to more voters, and that's called a catch-all party. So are parties becoming more similar? Do smaller parties make a difference to the political landscape? How much power do we actually have as voters? And finally, should we have more referendums? So hopefully that has given you an insight into the kind of things that we study in politics. I hope to see you soon. Thank you.